In this tutorial, we're going to show you how to use the Basecamp Extra to connect your Basecamp project to your ScrumDo project. Here I am with a brand new ScrumDo project. First, I click on the Extras link to get to the Extras configuration screen. From here, I enable the Basecamp Extra. This will bring me to the configuration of the Basecamp Extra. To configure it, I need the Basecamp URL and the API key of my Basecamp account. Let me show you where to get those from. This is my Basecamp project. The URL is the first part of the URL from the address bar. I'm going to copy that and paste it into the URL field. The API key can be found under the My Info section. Scroll down, click Show Your Tokens, and it's this first token that says Token for Feed Readers or the Basecamp API. I'm going to copy that and paste that into the API key field. Clicking Next, ScrumDo goes out and finds all the projects that are in my account. I'm going to select the appropriate one and click Next again. There are 3 different ways that ScrumDo can work with Basecamp. What we're going to show you today is mapping iterations to to-do lists in Basecamp. This is the most direct way of mapping ScrumDo to Basecamp so that they are as similar as possible. Instead, you can also sync stories with Basecamp to-do items, and your stories go into the backlog. That way, you can have a different organizational scheme in Basecamp than you do in ScrumDo, so your iterations and your to-do lists don't have to match up. The third option represents ScrumDo stories with to-do lists in Basecamp. Then the to-do items in Basecamp become tasks in ScrumDo. I'm going to select the first option. There are a few other options that influence how Basecamp and ScrumDo work together. The first is Upload Stories. When you select this, whenever you create a new story in ScrumDo, that will be uploaded to Basecamp as a new to-do item. There's Download To-Do Items. This is the reverse of Upload. So whenever a new to-do item is created in Basecamp, a new story will be created in ScrumDo. The final one is Allow Deletion. If this is checked, when stories are deleted in ScrumDo, the associated to-do item in Basecamp is also deleted. I'm going to leave that one unchecked for now. An initial synchronization happens after I configure the extra. This might take a minute or two depending on the size of your project. Now that the initial synchronization is complete, I'm going to go back to my project. When ScrumDo syncs with Basecamp, it doesn't actually create brand new stories. It puts the Basecamp to-do items into a queue of stories that I can choose to import. Over here on the right side, this queued stories tells me there's 17 ready. When I click on that, I see all of the to-do items that were from my Basecamp project. I'm going to select them all and tell ScrumDo to import them. Now that I've imported my stories, ScrumDo went ahead and created 2 brand new iterations for me that correspond with the to-do lists in Basecamp. Here's the iteration that was created from my Iteration 1 to-do list. In it are all the stories from that to-do list. If I edit them here, they'll be updated in my Basecamp account. If I edit them in my Basecamp account, those changes will propagate back to ScrumDo on a schedule, typically within half an hour. If I need those changes to come right away, there's a Synchronize link in the right-hand side, and that will cause the synchronization to happen immediately. This is the basics for how to make ScrumDo and Basecamp work together. If you have any questions, please visit support.scrumdo.com.